Good afternoon to everyone. I want to welcome to all of you from the College of Social Sciences and Humanities. And before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that the University of Alberta is located on Treaty 6 territory and the Métis homeland. And we respect the history, languages, and cultures of the First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada, whose presence continues to enrich our institution and community. I would also like to mention that this webinar is being recorded for those who are not able to be with us during this time. My name is Verna Yu, and I'm the Interim Provost and Vice President Academic. I'm very pleased to be able to chair this College Dean Vice Provost Selection Committee and host this town hall. So moving on to the next slide, the purpose of the town hall is to provide you with an overview of the College Dean / Vice Provost selection process, and to give you the opportunity to provide us with your thoughts and opinions on the future direction of the college and on the qualities of your next College Dean / Vice Provost. As you will recall, 2 years ago, the University of Alberta for Tomorrow was launched and the new college structure was formed. At the time, 3 interim college deans were appointed, and these appointments will come to an end in June 2023. And so we are launching the search process to fill these roles. As a point of clarity, when these positions are filled, the title will be amended to College Dean and Vice Provost. This will reflect the authority they need to advance the college objectives and leverage the strengths of the facilities, of the faculties. This will also enable me to hold the College Dean Vice Provost accountable for delivering the goals set by the colleges. Over the next few months, searches will also take place for both the College of Natural and Applied Sciences and the College of Health Sciences. Moving on to the next slide, just a brief refresher on the 3 primary functions of the colleges: to support undergraduate and graduate students and programs, to support research, and to drive interdisciplinary and strategic initiatives, including delivering on establishing priorities such as the Institutional Indigenous Strategic Plan, the refresh of the Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Plan, and reaffirming our commitments to EDI. This model amplifies the college's leadership, input, and impact on institutional-wide strategies. So moving on to the next slide, what is the role of the College Dean? Ultimately, the goal this year is to get these College Deans, Vice Provosts in place and focus on advancing the college model. Much of my time will be to continue clarifying the responsibilities and accountabilities of this key senior strategic leadership role. It is imperative that this process be successful in securing the very best person to lead the college in the coming years. With these thoughts in mind, we have laid out the following roles of the College Dean / Vice Provost, and you can see that on the slide. To inspire a shared vision for the college and the university, working with the deans of the respective colleges, the College Dean / Vice Provost will lead planning processes for the college, including budget, space, hiring, enrollment, program planning, lead development of the college research and teaching strategies in alignment with the upcoming university strategic planning processes, leads the Council of Deans in the college, oversees college administration, and build partnerships and relationships that advance college and university goals and vision. The next slide goes over the selection process and shows the approval process for this decision. The selection committee makes the decision on final name to be put forward to the president. The president can either accept or reject the recommendation from the selection committee, but whomever is the ultimate candidate, the name has to be taken to the board of directors or the board of governors for the final approval. The next slide goes into the selection committee itself. The selection committee composition is outlined within the university policies and is under authority of general university policy, and the members' names are listed on the provost website. I would also ask that we be united in our support of the selection committee, which is doing a very difficult but essential work to achieve a successful outcome. And on that note, members of the College Dean / Vice Provost Selection Committee are here. Really want to welcome all of you and thank you so much for your time and commitment to the selection process. So we're just going to stop sharing the slide so that people can actually see who are the committee members. Myself as the chair, the vice chair is Jason Acker, AVP of Research Integrity Support. Jason, if you can wave your hand. We have Christine Brown, librarian for University of Alberta Libraries. Please wave, Christine. Dwayne Donald, professor of secondary education, Faculty of Education. Eva Glancy, faculty general manager for Faculty of Arts. Heather Kanuka, professor of educational policy studies, education. Andy Knight, distinguished professor, political science department in Faculty of Arts. Vikas Mehrotra, professor of finance, Alberta School of Business. Gloria Strathern, prizes and awards coordinator for Faculty of Law. Julia Veloso, VP operations and finance from Students Union. Manisha Vinod, VP student services of GSA. And Robert Wood, Dean of Faculty of Arts. So just going back, thank you so much to all of you, and going back to the slide presentation, you can see that we've attached all the emails listed here for them. Please feel free to reach out to them with feedback. Again, their names and contact information are posted on the Provost website. And again, to this committee, I just want to publicly thank you for your time, commitment, and dedication to the selection process. The next slide goes into the committee selection schedule. For committee members to participate in a final decision, members must attend every meeting in the College Dean Vice Provost selection process. And you can see here, there will be a public process in the new year, early new year, where you'll have an opportunity to actually hear some public presentations, as well as meeting the potential candidates who are being interviewed. On slide 9, we're going to go to selection committee responsibilities, and just to highlight is to ensure decision-making is informed, deliberate, and equitable, to pick the best person possible for the faculties, college, and the university. Members' votes leading to decision are based on their own best judgment as individuals, having had the benefit of all the information and considerations undertaken in the committee process, and they will deliver the new college dean / vice provost with a strong mandate. They are bound by confidentiality throughout the process, and afterward, please respect these boundaries. We've already had our first meeting last week, and everyone is taking these responsibilities very seriously. So again, I just want to relay my thanks. In terms of what are your responsibilities and what are we asking from you, is that we're asking you to attend events whenever possible, to look at the information we have online, to provide feedback to the committee. The committee cannot do this work without the input of all of you, and that is the main reason for today's town hall. Trust that these committee members are doing a good job. They are working hard and will continue to do so. Again, please respect the confines of confidentiality. Confidentiality is key to this process and ensures that the new college dean / vice provost is positioned for success. It is the most important principle in this process. It protects not only the university, the colleges, the committee, but also the candidates. So we are at the end of the presentation. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for discussion. Again, I invite you to forward to us any of current issues, priorities, or future direction of the college. And again, also want feedback from you around the qualities you would like to see in the person taking on this role. And so finally, any general comments and questions about the process. So if you can think of a question or comment at a later date, the recent memo inviting you to this town hall also included a link to an online form. And this form can also be found on the Provost website under Dean Searches and Reviews. Use the form to provide feedback to the committee at any time up until the end of the day on October 28th. It may help you to know that on this phone, anonymity can be granted for non-tenured faculty, staff, and students. So as the process continues, we will update the Provost website. And of course, you can always email me directly at provost@ualberta.ca. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Sheila's going to help moderate, and you can either put some questions on the chat, or if you wanted to ask, please raise your hand, and Sheila, we can take, I think, the slide presentation off so that we can actually have an ability to see as many people as possible. So with that, happy to answer any questions.
And like Verna said, use the Q&A box to submit a written question. We've got one that's come in.
Yeah, so the question is, can you clarify what it means for the selection committee to deliver the new college dean with a strong mandate? Well, I think as part of the questions that we would be asking the potential candidates would be to help them understand what it means to have the colleges as it relates to the faculties. And you can see the varied representation on the selection committee, as well as Dr. Woods, who's actually representing the Faculty of Arts as dean. So really for them to understand what is going to be the role as the college dean vice provost, although there will be that information also on our job profile, as well as through the search firm, which is Boyd and which is helping us at this time.
Sorry.
I could do the questions, Sheila, if they're.
Okay.
So thanks, Melanie, for the question. And the question is this an internal or external hire? Is one prioritized over the other? So Melanie, I think ultimately we want the best candidate, and whether it's internal or external is really obviously not going to be the deciding choice at this, understanding that whoever comes into the role we feel needs to have a good understanding of how to work within a complex environment. And obviously it'd be very helpful for them to understand the Alberta context. And so, you know, some of those discussions about the pros and cons of whether it's an internal or external will be discussed at the search and selection process committee. Nicola, thanks for the next question. So how can students best be involved in monitoring and participating in this process? Absolutely, Nicola. So, you know, through the online processes, that would be fantastic. As you can see, we've got Julia, who is representing Students' Union on this role. So I would encourage you to contact Julia if you've got any concerns or any questions or any input that you want to provide to her. That would be another way of getting students' voice in there. You know, in terms of some of the potential roundtables, there may be some opportunities for student involvement in that. So again, please keep your eyes open for that opportunity and please participate. Thanks, Douglas, for the next question. So given priority number one in the college, particularly support for graduate students and programs, how will a mandate for the Dean Vice Provost be set in the light of the FGSR unit reviews? That's a really good question. Regardless, the unit review is really to try to provide us with sort of an overview of FGSR in its current context and what we need to do to continue to advance FGSR in the forward in the future in regards to how it works best, not just within the faculties, but also, as you've highlighted, with the colleges. So I think the unit review very informative in terms of providing input and recommendation to all of us, no matter what role you have in the university, about how we can actually advance graduate studies for the betterment of graduate students and faculty into the future. So it'll be very much a part of it. It's sort of almost concurrent at the same time, but absolutely any of the recommendations will obviously have implications for all of us within the university. Next question, thanks Tuesday. How can we use resources at the university for TRC, like using the publisher for teaching resources, using the CSJUR radio for radio podcasts that reflect Indigenous issues? I don't see why not. We would love to have ideas like that. And so Tuesday, please, if you can give us some more details about that, we would love to be able to connect and see if there's opportunities for that. These are the types of things that we're looking for from all of you. Is, you know, we want this to be as engaging and transparent as possible. And so having this type of feedback is really important. So thank you for that, Tuesday. All right, Mike, what does success look like for the college dean? In other words, 5 years from now, what would some of the key goals we would expect to see achieved by the new college dean vice provost? Well, I think part of that is that, you know, there are metrics that have been created. There's the financial metrics and the administrative metrics that have already been in place. And actually, there's been several quarter reportings done, and it's been presented as information to both GFC and to the board. So there are some of those metrics, but some of those would have to evolve as we continue to evolve the colleges. We're right now in the process of developing some interdisciplinary metrics, and that's going to be really important. So what does it mean for interdisciplinarity as it relates to education and research? I can have some in mind about how we're going to be bringing in, you know, more research funding with interdisciplinary collaboration, some of the big federal funding pots, international partnerships that are achieved through some of the purposeful partnerships within the faculties, and then within education. How do we work together to actually advance some of the interdisciplinarity that we want our students to be exposed to? How do we actually make best use of some of our resources around teaching, and how do we advance that vision? So some of those interdisciplinary metrics are actually right now in the works. And Mike, if you've got any ideas about what some of those could be, please let us know. But I do know that the team is landing on that for presentation later on this year. Where can we find a job description for the college deans? We actually will post that. So it will be on our website, and Sheila will make sure that that everybody's got access to that. Carolyn, thanks for that. Given that GFC has not been given any role in designing the selection procedure, can you assure us that generous time will be allotted for the public aspects of the procedure, including the vision talk and question period for all candidates? We have members of 3 faculties that will need time to ask questions. Absolutely, Carolyn. I mean, I think the intention for the public forum is to really have that engagement. We're also going to be fairly purposeful around some sort of smaller group meetings during the visits of the individuals, and then there will be a final interview sort of in that timeline. But we're absolutely wanting to make sure that everybody in the community is going to be actively engaged and giving us that feedback for that reason. So we'll do our utmost best, Carolyn, to give as much time as possible, understanding that we've got some meetings that are set in time. So thanks for that. So these are really good questions. Thank you for them. I think they're really helpful for us. It's interesting, this is our third college that we've actually done this presentation, and the questions are a little bit similar, but there are actually some unique questions too, so I appreciate that. Tuesday, the question is, I like that the university's made programs like Cree language and has land acknowledgements. I would also be interested on what it would take to change the university name to reflect the Indigenous territory it is on. Well, thanks for that, Tuesday. I'm not sure that that's a college dean search issue, but maybe you and I need to get together to have some conversation about what that could look like. I'm always interested in hearing about feedback about things that we can do to help advance our commitment to TRC. So let's maybe take that offline Tuesday. Maybe send me an email if you don't mind. Heather, the question is, within the model, how can the college increase the potential for donations and operational funding for the 4 faculties within CSSH? I mean, absolutely. We are, very committed around making our future budget be as transparent as possible. And part of it is going to be our work around budget model 2.0. And this is going to be really based on what I would call activity-based budgeting. And some of you, if this is new language, is really about, really getting funding for the activities that you do within the faculties and within the colleges, and really having a level of transparency going forward about each of the faculties, and also to get some understanding with the faculties in doing this work, what kind of incentives are in place to make sure that you're able to deliver what you need to do. So absolutely critical. The college dean, vice provost will be critical to this, as are the faculty deans. And so we are going to be working with the faculty deans in particular around what this operating model 2.0 will look like. And of course, the model will come forward to all the different governance bodies that we have within the university. All right, any other questions? All right, going once. Oh, there you go, Heather. We know that in other jurisdictions, performance-based funding has prioritized metrics that fail to capture the unique contributions of fine arts, the long tail impact. Yeah, that could very well be true. And I think that part of our goal, part of my goal, is to ensure that no matter where you are in the university, that we can capture aspects of what you do. And so if we're not landing, then you need to email me and let me know. I think this is really important for us to recognize the diversity that we have in this university and how we recognize the contributions of everybody within our university. So very committed to doing that. and we need to decide how to think about that. So in fine arts, I think it was pointed out at a meeting recently around the value of how fine arts, for example, brings in external stakeholders and our public to the table, and how do we take most advantage of that. I think, Robert, that was discussed at your Chair's Council. So, you know, there's many parts of value that's added from all different departments and faculties, and we have to make sure that we capture that diversity. So challenges for us, but challenge for you is to make sure that you let us know about some aspects of that so that we are very aware of that. So Jareen, the question is, you mentioned that the college deans will also be vice provost so that they have the authority that they need. Can you explain what this additional authority entails? You know what, it's really around the reporting structure and the reporting to myself. I think for myself, you know, when I was sort of outside looking in, I actually found the term college dean quite confusing. Wasn't quite sure what the difference was from faculty deans, and I would say that was probably pretty true of the community within the university. And so for me, putting a title of vice provost means that there is an accountability and a direct report to myself. That is to provide that additional clarity about how the college deans / vice provost will really providing that oversight for all the faculties and then a report up to myself directly. Carolyn, key dimension of the procedures, the questions that will be asked of candidates by the committee behind closed doors. How would these questions be developed? Yeah, so these questions are going to be developed internally with the committee members, as well as some advice and guidance from the search firm Boyden that we've contracted. As you know, Boyden's been a search firm that's been very active amongst post-secondary institutions. And so, to be frank, there are sort of very standard questions that are asked of all search and selection committees, but I think with the type of role that we're requesting of these leaders, including, I think, some of the key attributes that we would want, we would probably need to have some specific questions. But I would love it, Carolyn, if you could provide us with some questions. Anybody who's listening, if you think there's key questions that we need to ask, can you please let us know? Because I think that's really, really important feedback for us. Tuesday, as a fraternity member and a member of IFC, I'm interested on the process of high insurance rates increased for some student organizations and how we can get lower rates to reflect our risk analysis. So Tuesday, maybe you and I need to have an offline conversation about some of the things that are coming forward. Not sure that these are for the college search and selection processes. So let us take that offline if you don't mind, but I would be interested to chatting with you about that. Who else will make up the team that works at the college and how many more people will be hired at this new level? Well, right now, they're pretty well at where they're at. So there's a faculty or there's a college general manager that works with the college dean. And as you know, there's been the Office of Education and Office of Research has been set up. And the resources that have been used have been reallocated resources to actually provide some of that support. It is very dependent on the faculties and the faculty supports that they have, so working synergistically together. So I know that, you know, there have been some, you know, I think some observations or comments made about how this is an additional layer, but in fact, it's really reallocated resources to take some of the burden off of the faculties and also do some joint things that we know would be easier at a joint level, maybe not so much at central, but more at a college level that would be helpful for the faculties. Tuesday, how many have applied for the position so far and what would their salary be? So right now, Tuesday, we are really at the early stages, and the purpose of this town hall is to really firm up feedback from all of you to actually inform the type of ad job description that we're going to be going out to the community. So the next step is really to have Boyden pull the feedback that we get from all of you, make sure that it aligns with the current job descriptions that we have, and then posting it. And then obviously tapping people on the shoulders and getting people to apply. So we currently do not know how many are going to apply for the position. I'm hoping that we'll get a good number that we can shortlist from, but I would think that this is an exciting position. Their salary will be adjusted according to what we are constrained by, which is the RAPCA legislation. So there are grids and sort of limits about what type of salary this would be. And so that is all public information, my understanding is, but we're happy to provide posting on this question also, Sheila, if you don't mind. All right. Any other questions?
Should we say put out the last call?
All right. Well, if not, thank you so much for the great questions that you put out. Look forward to hearing feedback from all of you. As I said, we've got everybody's name and email addresses, and obviously you can email me as well as email to Boyden if you want to provide some input to Boyden, the search firm. So I want to thank all of you for your participation. I look forward to giving you updates on where we're at. And again, just want to say thank you to the Search and Selection Committee for your time and commitment, and to all of you for your interest. With that, we'll end the presentation and have a nice rest of the day. Thank you so much, everyone.